I've recently acquired this. This is what I believe is called a magazine rack, and this is what people used to keep their magazines and newspapers in when print media was still more of a thing. By acquired, I mean I found it, by the way, and I thoroughly cleaned it and I glued the veneer back onto the sides of it. But it is functional now, I think, and I saw it and I thought it would be fun to keep some of my yarn in here, because my current yarn stash situation looks like this, which is functional, it's just not very pretty, and I thought we could go through it and put some of the prettier yarns and the ones I want to use next over here, so that they are in my field of vision and I can put them in my room and it'll look nice, and that's the plan. Also, my yarn stash is an absolute mess. I've been throwing things in there. As you can tell, I don't have a very large yarn stash. It is really only the next few projects, if even, and whatever I had left over from old ones and didn't know what to do with. So that's what's in my yarn stash. I try to use up as much of it as possible generally so I can add new things. My rule is that I can't have more than what fits in this box, and I've mostly been good about keeping to that promise. I have gone over a few times, but I was able to get it back down to this. So right now I'm happy, and I just need to sort through it because I've been finishing projects, having leftovers, just throwing them in there, and it's a mess, as you might be able to tell. I also have some yarn over here in my whip basket. This is a little basket I keep on my desk that is supposed to hold my whips, but it somehow also holds like some electronics, like my tablet, my headphones and stuff like that. I do use this for knitting mostly, so I think it's fair that it's in here, but there's a bunch of stuff in there that's not supposed to be in here, and actually not that much yarn, so maybe let's start here. So the first thing that I'm seeing here is some knitting for Olive, soft silk mohair in the color Midnight that I recently used to make my cloud blouse or cloud tee. My plan was to make a cloud blouse, or my plan was to make something entirely differently. Which is why I got this yarn in the first place. I wanted to hold it with some of the merino, and I wanted to make the stripy affair sweater by Veronica Lindberg, which is the reason why this yarn was purchased. It ended up not happening because the two colors that I got were very ugly together, so I decided to keep the yarn and instead make something separate with them. And the thing that I decided to make with this soft silk mohair was the cloud blouse by Petite Knit. I ran out of yarn because I didn't buy the yarn specifically for that project, so I didn't have enough, and I made it a t-shirt instead. However, I want to keep my options open. I want to be able to go back and make it a long sleeve version because I don't know how much use I'll get out of a t-shirt. I think it's fine now for the summer. I want to try if I put it on while the weather's warm, but I think most likely in fall I'll go back and knit long sleeves on that, and for that I will have to order another ball of yarn. So this is gonna stay in my stash until then. This is what I had left. It's about a ball of yarn. So I'm just gonna store this away, and I don't think I will put this into my pretty bin over here. It's a nice yarn though. I don't have that many like nice yarns, I guess. So maybe I will put it in here for now. We will see. I will have to organize this and make it look pretty at the end anyway. And I have one more knitting ball of yarn actually in here, which is the 𝗙𝗚𝗡𝗏. And it looks like this currently because I was watching with it. I used this yarn to make my ivy top last summer, and I'm unhappy with it. I don't really like the way it looks, and I was thinking about unraveling it and self-drafting like a summer sweater with the pure silk, like a lace sweater, because I have some left over and it should maybe be enough to make a sweater with it. However, the idea I had is not really working out. I've been going back and forth on it for weeks, maybe months now. Not like actively working on it, but I keep coming back to it. I think it's a cool idea. It was kind of supposed to be a mermaid vibe. This is, I think, the last swatch I knitted, and I'm not overly happy with it. So I haven't looked into that in a while, and I don't really think it's happening. Maybe I could like look for a pattern that I could use this silk for, still make like a lace summer sweater, just not my own design, I guess. I think that might be a good option, but I'm gonna put this to the side and store it with the other pure silk that I have. Actually, I can unravel this swatch. I don't think I will need it anymore. I'm kind of also using this as inspiration for what to knit next. I have one project that is on my needles right now, really, and one project that is definitely planned, because I'm also leaving for vacation, so I know what I'm taking there. None of them are summer projects. I don't know, I'm not having the most fun with summer projects, to be honest. I'm really excited to knit sweaters for some reason. And I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. Like, technically, if I want to knit sweaters, I can just knit sweaters. It's my knitting and I can do whatever the hell I want. On the other hand, it would be kind of sensible to knit summer projects now. My yarn is tangled. But I don't know. I don't know where to wear them to, and I find the patterns like really hard to pick, and then they're tight, and then it's difficult to make it fit me properly. I've been having trouble finding good summer projects. Maybe I need to make like a pattern roundup type of video and look for some cool summer patterns. I want to knit more basics. My mission this year was to knit more basics because I use them more than my very colorful projects. I guess this is kind of an exception. I've been wearing this all the time. I really love this design. I don't know if that's still a basic. It's kind of a basic. It goes with everything. We're going to be here for hours if this keeps continuing, but I think this is the only thing I really have to unravel. I have one more thing that I definitely need to unravel, but I'm not going to do that right now. It is stored away with some of my yarn. We'll get to it. Anyways, the first thing I'm seeing on top here is this wonderful bag here. I've been using these as my project bags and also just to organize my yarn a little bit. It's not pretty, but it works, and also I've heard it's good against moths. I've never had a problem with moths or really thought about them actively, but apparently people use these on purpose to keep moths away. I don't know. This is all of the leftovers I have from this 𝗙𝗛𝗡𝗏𝗧 sweater. I bought this yarn to soft draft something and it didn't happen. That seems to be a common occurrence here. Anyways, I decided to make this design with it, and I have leftovers now because, again, I didn't get the proper yarn amounts for this pattern. This is how my leftovers keep happening. Essentially, I have 4 balls of yarn and a little bit left over. There's 2 of this white color, that is the raconte color here, and then I have pretty much 2 of the blue, and then I have like half a ball of the red over here. And I don't know what to do with this. The issue is, well, basically it is a winter yarn, so I don't know if I could make anything with this that I could actually use once it's done for the next few months, so I'm not overly motivated to tackle this issue right now. And the other problem is the amount of yarn that this is. With 4.5 balls of Aran weight yarn, I don't really know what to do. It is clearly too much to make a small accessory like a hat or a pair of gloves or something like that. It is clearly too little to make something to wear. Even for a sweater vest, this is not enough yarn, and I don't really wear sweater vests, so that's another issue. The only thing I could think of is a scarf. However, this is not an overly comfortable yarn. It is a bit rustic, and I can definitely feel it when I'm wearing it. This is a big sweater, and I'm gonna put something underneath it. On my arms, it doesn't really bother me, and up here, it's like, I can feel it, but it's fine. But this is not a yarn I want to make a scarf out of, so I have no idea what to do with this. If you have ideas, please let me know. But it is a nice yarn, so I'm gonna put it in the pretty basket. It's gonna get much worse from like here on out, basically. I have one more bag of nice yarn. Okay, maybe 2. This is the Knitting for Olive Merino that I originally got to hold with the mohair I showed earlier. Honestly, I don't quite know what I was thinking holding these 2 colors together. I think I was just trying to find something to hold with the purple that would keep it like properly purple and not make it red or lighter. This is the purple, it's the color plum. And I was thinking I should use this to knit some summer items, which is why I knitted this here that I just took out of the bag. This is an ivy top by Petite Knit, and if you remember the beginning of this video, that was like 5 minutes ago, I mentioned that I already knitted an ivy top by Petite Knit last summer out of the pure silk, and I didn't like it. So I was kind of hoping I could redeem myself. I could make another ivy top, I could make it fit me properly, because I thought the main issue was the fiber that I used, because the silk isn't stretchy at all, and I thought if I used the merino, that would be fine, and the top would actually fit me like intended. Spoiler alert, I cast off last night, it doesn't fit me at all. It's arguably much worse than the first version. I think I identified the issue now. The issue is my waist shaping. That is something that is not in the pattern, and I added it because I wanted the top to fit me a little bit tighter, more like in the picture, because like compared to my waist, this is like my bust, and I didn't want it to go straight down and then be tight at my hips. It was a whole thing. Anyways, it's not working out at all, and at this point I don't know if I want to have an ivy top bad enough to try and problem solve here, or if I should just unravel it and do something else. I do have like a sweater design by, is it 𝗙𝗛𝗡𝗏𝗧? Is that her name? And I believe the sweater might be called Space Time. I'm not quite sure, but I found it relatively recently, and I really like how clean it looks. There's an option with like ribbed edges and an option with just rolled edges, and I really like the rolled edge option. I think that looks great, and I would have enough yarn to hold this double and knit that sweater with. So in my mind, that's kind of the thing I'm going to do with this yarn. I have 7 balls of this as well, And this is like a nice yarn. This might be something I can tackle within the next few weeks once I get done with, I guess, one of my whips. So I'm gonna put the yarn in here and I'm gonna unravel the ivy top most likely and just give up on it. I had a whole like cool video about it planned, or I was filming a whole video about it where I was gonna be like, oh, enemies to lovers. I finally fixed last summer's mistakes and all that, and I don't think it's happening. I don't know. Like the only option I can think of at this point is to just unravel the body up, like wherever I did the waist shaping, and just knit it straight down. I would have a top and it would be the ivy top, but it wouldn't be the top I wanted, so probably not. I don't know. I also have some leftover 𝗙𝗚𝗡𝗗𝗏 Peruvian in here. As you can see, my entire yarn stash is just leftovers. I have like one sweater quantity of yarn in here. This is from my 𝗙𝗛𝗡𝗏 jacket. I'm sorry about the noises, by the way. I should have thought about that before I started filming and have everything in plastic bags. I used this for my 𝗙𝗛𝗡 jacket, and I did buy the yarn with the intention to knit the 𝗙𝗛𝗡 jacket. I was still kind of new to swapping out yarns when I bought this yarn, because the 𝗙𝗛𝗡 jacket had been in planning since essentially when I started knitting, and I had the yarn laying around for like over a year before I even started on it. Then I failed at it, I did it again, it was a whole thing. Anyway, this is how much I have left over, which is like 2.5 balls. I don't know what I will do with that, if that will become some sort of wintry accessory. I've been thinking about making like leg warmers. I think that would be a fun project to do. I don't know if I really need leg warmers, especially not in the winter. I mean, I'm definitely not going to need them in the summer, but do I have any skirts or dresses that I would wear in the winter where I would wear leg warmers with it? Maybe. I don't know. I could reasonably wear them, but maybe not. I have no idea. It is a very nice yarn though. I really like this yarn a lot. I don't know what to do with it, but it will become some kind of winter project, probably when we go into the fall is when I will tackle that, along with the 𝗙𝗡𝗡𝗏 I showed earlier. And from here on out, it's chaos. I think this was like all of the leftovers or sweater quantities I still have from my very recent projects. I essentially just cast those off, and those are left over and whatever. Now we're going into territory of things that have been in my stash for quite a while. And I don't know if anything's happening with them, but I also don't really want to get rid of them, if that makes sense. First of all, we have this small monstrosity now. This used to be a very big ball of yarn that I got gifted, and I made a scarf with this. It's very red, which is not usually a color I would pick for myself. And I think it was like 70 or 80 meters of yarn, so not a lot of yarn, very fluffy. And it came with a pattern to make like a round scarf that I didn't like at all, so I wasn't going to do that. I just made like a long scarf too. I can go get it, wait. This is it. I actually wore this earlier this week with this sweater. Did a little city day trip and I wore this. And it looked really good together because this also has red. So I actually really like this combination, and the red didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. I thought the red would look kind of bad on me. However, the scarf is long enough, as you can see. Obviously in the beginning I didn't quite know how wide I could make it and how long I could make it and not run out of yarn. So it was a bit conservative, and I made a very skinny scarf, which is what I wanted, that's not a problem. However, I do have yarn left over, and my idea was to make a beanie number, is it number 6, by my favorite things that wear. The beanie that has the very fluffy brim that I think you usually do with boucle yarn, and then you use some other kind of basic fiber like wool or whatever to knit the top of the hat. And I was gonna use this as the brim. Recently I've been thinking maybe I would like to make some kind of a bonnet with it instead, because realistically I think this is too much yarn still to just make a brim. I'm still gonna have leftovers. And I have this little bonnet pattern that's just like a pointy little hat, essentially with 2 tassels at the bottom. It's called something with a W. Wonga bonnet? Wonga bonnet? Something like that. It's obviously written for a very different gauge, but I really like the shape of it. I think it looks very cute, and I think maybe I could make something like that. As you might be hearing from my descriptions, this is also going to be some kind of a fall thing. I'm not really into summer knitting, I guess. What am I supposed to say? I'm standing here in a 𝗙𝗡𝗡𝗏 𝗙𝗡𝗏. It is cold outside, I will say, so it's not like I'm just wearing this because I want to wear my winter knits. It's actually kind of cold. Okay, now I think I'm going to stick with this bag. This is my bag of crochet thread. I got this from my grandmother. My grandma used to knit and crochet quite a bit, and she doesn't really do it anymore, or she can't anymore. And she was so kind to gift essentially all of her supplies that she still had to me. This is where I have most of my knitting needles from. I also got a bunch of crochet hooks, even though I didn't really need any more because I already had my own, but for the knitting needles it was very nice. I used them every day. And she also gave me some yarn. There was some cotton yarn that I am currently using in my whip. And then there was this whole, or more than this actually, bag of crochet threads. I think this big ball, this big white ball here, I bought at some point to make. Why did I buy this? I don't remember. I made something. But all of the rest is from her. And I already used some of the white to make her like a filet crochet doily that I got from a vintage magazine that she also gave to me. So that was kind of fun to do, and I really like doing filet crochet. That's also the only type of project I can think to do with crochet thread. As you might be able to tell, it's a bit of a random collection of colors. I guess we have some off-whites down here, and then some like more stuck whites over here. And then this is just colorful things, and I don't know. I don't know what kind of filet crochet item I would need. I would kind of want a curtain. I really like the curtains, but they're a lot of work. And I think I would technically like the idea of having a filet crochet top, but I don't know how much I would wear it, because when it's warm, I don't want to wear double layers, and a filet crochet top has holes, so you can't really wear it by itself either. I don't know. I would like to do a filet crochet project with this, and I would like to maybe actually do it sometime soon. I've been missing crocheting a little bit. I've only knitted for like a good while now. Whenever I do pick up crochet hook, I'm really, like, I'm almost confused. I used to crochet for like maybe 5 years, 4.5, I don't know, before I started knitting. So actually I was crocheting a lot, and then I started knitting, and I kind of stopped crocheting at the same time. I also, now that I know how to knit properly, I realized I never got good at crocheting. I never learned how to read a crochet pattern. I never got into any of the technicalities of it. I think when I started knitting, I just really got into knitting YouTube, and I was like seeing knitting content all around me all the time. So I feel like I learned more like technically how to do it. And for crochet, I was just kind of like looking up a tutorial whenever I needed to. And then I was following a video. Well, most of the time I was honestly just making up my own thing, because that's much easier to do with crochet, I find, just because the stitches aren't as neat or even looking. So you can like cheat a little bit easier, just like add an extra stitch or take one away over here or over there, and it won't really be as noticeable as when you have a knitted stockinette fabric. So I was just kind of doing whatever when I was crocheting. I also never properly learned how to hold my needle or my yarn, and I don't even know what I was doing all those years. I never kept track of everything I made like I now do on Ravelry. I made like coasters, I remember, and I don't know, I made a few projects, but I somehow have no memory of them, which is a bit sad. But all that to say, I would like to crochet some more again, and maybe even follow like a proper pattern for once. That would be kind of a nice thing to do, to learn how to do that. We're gonna move on to the problem in here, I guess. The problem is this bag, and this is my bag of acrylic yarns. This is mostly yarns I still have from my crochet times, because as I said, I wasn't very technical about it, so I also never really learned about yarns and the different qualities. When I was buying yarn, I was paying attention to the price and the color, and that was it. So sometimes it would arrive and it would be really stretchy, and sometimes it would arrive and it wouldn't be stretchy. Sometimes it would be thicker, sometimes thinner. I had no idea what that was dependent on, and I don't really think I even noticed. Anyways, this is my very random collection of acrylic yarns. These like tiny mini skeins is the first yarn I actually ever bought, and this yellow color is the first I ever used to crochet anything. I had plans for these mini skeins to make a garland or something out of, I think, a while ago, but then I used some of it for, I don't remember what I used it for, but I needed a bunch of different colors, and I used some of them. So now I don't have that much left, and it's not really realistic to make a whole project out of that much yarn. So I honestly don't know what to do with them. It's like, at this point I should probably get rid of it, to be honest, because it's like not even 50 grams of yarn, I think, and it's just like random little bits and bobs of color. This is one of my first crochet samples. This is when I learned how to do all of the stitches. I still have it. I'm gonna keep it forever. I think I can't get rid of it. I find it every time I do this, and it's still in here, so it's here to stay. This is yarn I think I also got this like gifted from somewhere. It's also some acrylic yarn, and I used to have this blue and a white, and I never knew what to do with it. And then I made a bunch of granny squares out of it that I all put together to make a pillow cover. And I'm actually not sure where that pillow cover now is. However, I have like some leftovers from that, and all of the leftovers are, it's not like a skein of yarn, it's just like a few meters rolled into like these tiny mini skeins. So I don't know what that is. Should probably also get rid of that, to be honest, because I'm never gonna do anything with that blue. Like the other colors, at least they're solid colors. So if I'm like, oh, I need a tiny bit of red for this, I can go rummage through there. But this is not even properly blue. It's just like some kind of mix of colors. These yarns also have a funny story. When I was a small child, I used to have a little suitcase-shaped box that was blue, and it had like a mushroom thingy in it that you could use to make I-cord, I think. That was my first contact with knitting, and I never quite got it. I think I made a successful I-cord about once, and this was the yarn that came with that box to try and do knitting, I guess. I'm like emotionally attached to it. It obviously doesn't serve any purpose. It's just in here. Then I have this. It's just fluffy. I think I bought it together with the other grays that are in here, but wait. I think I bought the 3 of those together to make a scarf for my grandma. It turned out very large, and she has it on her armchair as a blanket for the winter, I guess. So she is using it. It's not a great scarf, I will admit. This wasn't the correct fabric to use for a scarf. I actually don't know what this yarn is. I think there's probably some kind of cotton or bamboo or something mixed in there. It kind of feels like it, but it's definitely also acrylic. I've been keeping those around for when I need some grey. I've occasionally needed some grey. I don't know what projects, but well. What else is in here? Oh, this is a yarn that was also in the bag of stuff I got from my grandma, and I've been using this to put my stitches on hold because I knew this color is not something I will ever use for any project ever. Not a neon green kind of girl, so I've just been using this as scrap yarn, which it serves its purpose well. This I once used to make a carpet, like a small carpet. That was a fun project to crochet, but now I have this yarn left over and it's not really suitable for anything else, so it's in here. And well, I have a little bit of black that I don't know where it came from, and it's tangled in all of the blue. So that's the last bit of yarn that was in here. As you can tell, none of these are nice yarns, and none of them are going to go in here in my pretty little new piece of furniture. I'm just going to put them back into this bag, and I'm going to keep them in here in the ugly box in case I ever do need a little piece of red. I don't know. Clearly none of them are intended to be used in a project, if that makes sense. Like, they're all incredibly like random pieces of different yarns, so I don't know. Maybe I should get rid of most of this if we're being honest, but not quite yet. Next time I run out of space, probably. I also have a bag of embroidery thread in here. I got this to make bracelets with. I had a phase where I was like tying knots into thread to make bracelets for a while. That was kind of fun. I have no idea how I did that at this point in time. Would have to look it up again. However, this is leftover from that hobby, and I've been keeping it around and using it occasionally. I have used this. Sometimes I want to embroider a little thing on something. I'm bad at embroidery, but sometimes I try, and I guess it's good to like attach buttons and stuff like that. So I'm gonna keep this just in case. And then the main star of the show here is this bag. This is all of my leftovers from past projects on my single skeins, I guess, that are not acrylic. So literally any other fiber is in here. I guess winter yarns is what you could call this, because I did have a bag like this with summer yarns, and it is currently being used in a whip. I'm making a very scrappy sweater. I can show you if you want. This is my bag for my very scrappy sweater. It's very scrappy, as you can see. I'm using all of my cotton leftovers that I ever acquired in my life to make it. But I will make a separate project vlog about that if you want to see. But now I'm left with this bag of winter yarns. We can go through them as well. So the first two that are up here, this is both Drops Air. I like this yarn. I think it's fun to work with. It's really fluffy, looks nice. I got both of those separately with the intention to make a hat, if I remember correctly. I think I made a hat for somebody else in this Drops Air color. and I liked that hat a lot, so I thought I might make one for myself. And then I kind of noticed that maybe this is not the kind of brown I want, like a darker or a more cold toned brown, I guess. I'm bad with the tones as well. I never know what any of that means. I'm just going off of vibes to determine whether something is cool or warm or suiting me. I've decided this is warm. I hope that's correct. So I thought I want a different type of brown for the hat, and it didn't happen. And then I have a pair of like white winter shoes that I wear all the time, and I wanted a white accessory to go with that because I always felt like a little bit awkward because my winter jacket is black, and then obviously most of the paints that I wear are also like black or dark or blue, whatever. And then like the accessories I had some, I guess like a pink one to kind of go with the details of my jacket, and I had a blue hat and all that. But it always felt like the white shoes were like glaring at everybody sticking out of my outfit because, well, they're the only like bright part of it. So I thought I might make a white hat, and somehow I haven't yet. I have made a white scarf, so I can at least use that now, but maybe this will become a hat at some point. It should, really. Again, I'm talking about winter projects. I don't know what I'm doing here. I have in here the rest of the pure silk that I was talking about earlier to make the summer sweater, I guess. There's also a tiny bit of pure silk that I used to make the, how's it called? The Poet Scarf by Sari Nordland. Is it hailing right now? It's either hailing or things are flying off of trees. It's very windy. Anyways, I used this to make the Poet Scarf, which was a gift knit, and I have a tiny bit of the soft silk mohair held with this in here somewhere as well. As you can see, this is not an amount of yarn that you can really do anything with. Like even if I were to make like a little summer moment that you can wear on your head or whatever, like a scarf type of thing, I don't think this would be enough. It's also not a good fiber for scrunchies. I don't know what to do with this, which is why it is in here in the first place. I have some Drops Daisy in dark brown. I'm going to use this, I have the rest of it somewhere over here. I'm going to use this to cast on a new sweater. I think I might have mentioned that I'm going on vacation. And it's a short vacation, it's just a few days, but I want to take a project, and since the scrap yarn project I just showed is not very portable, it's very impractical to knit on the go because you have like 14 balls of yarn and you need all of them at the same time. Since that is kind of impractical, I want to take a different project. I was thinking about taking something like my Ivy top, but I just cast that off and, well, I'm not quite happy with it. So I'm taking this and I'm making a sweater with it. I'm pretty excited. I really like this color of brown. This is the brown I was talking about. I think this is cold. Tell me if I'm wrong. But this is going on vacation with me. I actually need this. I'm going to put this over here. And then, what else do I have? I have some Expression Fiber Arts Alpaca Silk DK, I think this is called. This is what I used to make my 𝗙𝗛𝗡𝗚 blouse, which is my own design. It's a blouse and it makes you look like a flower. And it's free if you want to knit it. That was kind of fun, but I have some yarn from it left over. Again, this is like such an awkward amount. Although these are 100 gram skeins, I think. Maybe, right? I think so. So actually, maybe I don't have that little yarn. Maybe I can do something with this. I mean, it's a DK weight alpaca silk yarn. It's very drapey, so it's like more suited for something like a blouse. It doesn't have, I guess, enough structure to be a proper sweater, I would assume. But I could probably find like a cool pattern to use this for. That would be kind of nice. This is like almost enough to make a full project with. That's good. And then down here I have a big pile of chaos is what I have down here. This is all Lana Grossa yarn, and I think it's all called Cool Wool Big. This is the first proper yarn I ever bought. I bought this color for the first knitted project I ever cast on, which is just a stripy self-drafted scarf that I really like and I actually wear a lot, even though it's far from perfect. And I liked working with this yarn. It was the first time I ever had like a merino yarn. It was stretchy and it was nice and it felt good. It's a super wash, I think. And then I made a gift knitted hat sometime after that, and I bought the same yarn because I knew I liked it, and that's what these two colors are from. I've been using these occasionally, actually. I recently, for Easter, I made something for my grandma. I don't know how you call it. It's like little hats that you can put on eggs to keep them warm and make them look cute. It kind of went with her gift. Anyway, I made her some of those, and I forgot to take a picture. I wanted to mention it in my podcast that I knitted that, but I forgot because I didn't have a picture of them. I wrapped it and then it was too late. Anyways, I did make those, and I used mostly the white for that, and then some of the like random colors I showed earlier in my acrylics bag for I think the brim of the hat, and then it had like a little sprout thing up here. The pattern was really cool that I used for it. It looked very cute. It's in my Ravelry. I've put in that I did the project. It just doesn't have a photo, which is a bit sad, but whatever. And what else do I have in here? Ooh, my hated sock yarn. This is the first sock yarn I ever bought to make a pair of socks, and I did make a pair of socks. It's not a good pair of socks, but I did make it, and now I have this. It's a very random amount, and what am I going to do with that? I don't know. I really don't know. I have some stuff in the very bottom of this that I might have an idea for. Essentially, oh, there's a little bit of soft silk mohair I was talking about earlier that I used for my poet scarf. This is the yarn amounts I keep. I probably shouldn't. Okay, so basically this yarn here it's Camrose Snaefnook, I think that's what it's called. It's this like blown yarn. Is it blown? I think so. But it's very fluffy. It's a really nice yarn. I really liked working with this. I've worked with one other one of their yarns. I forget the name. It's like the marled one. I really liked that one too because it was mostly cotton, but it had some fluffy fibers in there, so it was feels really nice to wear, but it's not as warm as the proper wool yarns. I should use that yarn again. It was really good. I'm going to put the name somewhere on the screen. I forgot. Essentially, I've used this yarn, this Snaefnook, to do a test knit that is called the Cuddle Vest by 𝗙𝗡𝗡𝗄𝗡 Stories. And this is my cuddle vest. This is what I made. It is a very basic vest pattern. I did a little bit of a challenge where I tried to do it in one day. This is what it turned out like. It's just a grey vest and it has these blue details everywhere. I think in her sample all of the details are different colours, which is also really fun. I just didn't want to buy like 7 different balls of yarn for this. And I kind of made this like as a basic to try and see if I would put on vests. I have owned vests in the past before making this that I rarely ever put on, but I like the concept of a knitted vest. It has turned out, however, that I also don't like wearing knitted vests. It turned out having a little less positive ease than I was expecting. I'm not sure why that is. It's not because of the pattern. I figured that out. The pattern was correct and I followed the right size, and I did knit a gauge swatch, so I'm not sure where the problem came in, but it is a little bit tight for me, especially under the arms, considering that this is an item you put something underneath. So I have very few shirts I can actually wear underneath this. On top of that, I just don't really like wearing vests, I guess. I never know an occasion where I need to be warm, only here, but not on my arms. Anyway, I rarely ever put this on. It's a nice yarn, it's colours that I would probably wear usually. So I'm thinking about unraveling this and knitting something else with the yarn. As you can see, this is all of the yarn I have, and it is not a lot. This is a very tiny object, I guess. And I have found this here. This is my leftover drops melody from my first ever knitted sweater. That was also a self-drafted sweater. It's a raglan construction with a bunch of very colourful, okay, it's not that colourful, it's mostly blue, but it's a colourful blue type of stripes. And this is what I have left over. And from the fluff amount and the colours of them, I think maybe I could hold them together and have like a little bit more yarn. See what I can do with that. And I was thinking maybe if the hat doesn't happen in this white, the hat I was planning, maybe I could hold that together as well with the drops air. I think they're similar enough that could kind of work. I don't know what kind of an object that would be, if that would be enough for a sweater. Probably, almost. I don't think I can hold the brown drops air with it, really. That looks a bit odd. But the white would work. And then I could make something that is a little more usable to me out of this. It would still have to be somewhat striped or some kind of color work, I guess, involved. Although color work is always bad if you're trying to not use up too much yarn because you have the floats in the back. So probably no color work, but maybe like concept-wise something like this that has like one main color and then details in other colors. I think that could work. It's an idea in my mind, but it hasn't fully formed yet. So I don't quite know where I'm going with that, but yeah, that's all my yarn, I think. I think that was it. So I'm gonna, I have more of a mess than I had before somehow. It always happens when you try to tidy up. I'm gonna tidy up the mess now. I'm gonna put all of my nice and pretty yarns in my new edition here, on the topic of there being more of a mess than before. And then I'm gonna find a nice spot for it. And I'm gonna put all of my other yarns, the ones that I don't deem nice and pretty enough, back into the box where they came from. I'm still gonna try to not get more yarn than what fits in this box. I like that rule for myself. I have occasionally gone over if I had, like, I don't know, a birthday or Christmas or something and I got gifted yarn. and I got like multiple sweater quantities to make something with that. And I have gone over then, but I've used it all up. It does fit in here now, and I don't want to get more. I am getting like a whole bag of cotton yarn out of here, which is great. Also, admittedly, it looked full, but it was very unorganized. If it's organized, there's much more space in here. So I could technically get more yarn right now, but I don't need to. I have one project with my needles, I have one project that I'm going to cast on, and then I have one more sweater quantity, so I'm good for right now. And once I'm nearing the end of that, I will either come up with something to do with this Expression Fiber Arts yarn that I have left over, or I will come up with something for the Sniff Nook I've been showing, or I will buy more yarn and do something else with that. Maybe I will make a summer project at some point. I don't know. For right now, I'm glad I sorted through all of this. I think that was all the yarn I had. I sometimes hide it in random spots around here because I like pull it out and then I knit a swatch with it, and then I think, oh, I'm gonna use this soon, and then I put it somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, let me clean up and then I'll show you the pretty shots of what it looks like when I'm done.